Greg's office and pay bills. That is his statutory responsibility, not yours. It's a dangerous place to be for her to do these things. That's all I'm saying. If she...
But we never charged any other department for her mentioning things to Sherry. He wasn't here.
That's where this whole thing about ethics came in.
I mean, I understand
This is
what
not
you're
an
saying
ethics
with the,
meeting,
with
so
the
don't even
whole
bring it up.
statutory responsibilities, but if someone's not here, I mean, there's times when I'm the only one here. So if someone comes in and I do whatever Greg does or whatever Molly would do, so what? I can't do that because that's not my statutory responsibility. What am I gonna do? I mean, and that happens a lot. Just because you're filling in when people aren't here, or if it's really busy, you're helping other people do stuff. I mean, you're always doing things that aren't your statutory responsibilities.
It happens a lot here.
Well, I mean, you don't know what's gonna come in the door, I get that. You know, that does happen in any workplace. That's gonna happen. It's just a little bit different when somebody is actually into the payroll and the bill pay and that type of thing, when that isn't their statutory responsibility. I'm saying it's dangerous because it's dancing on a line that could potentially be a problem. I'm not saying that there isn't some time where you're like, you know, in order to help this person, but
well, we say
it's
help,
not
it might be
necessary
just to open up the computer in the right spot, or talk to them about where to take it out of. You know, I mean, it's not like she's moved her off from her desk and she's over there doing the job.
Well, the deputy supervisor has a workspace in the clerk's office, right?
Yes, she's in the clerk's office, yes. I mean, we can move her across the hall, it don't matter to me. We moved the zoning administrator's computer in that room for the clerk.
So office help, did you have it at 5,500?
Yes, and I think that is reasonable. And if we don't use it, we don't use it. It's not like it's there that we have to use it, that at the end of the year, we're gonna give them a $1,000 bonus.
Well, no, because what ends up happening is, well, she can stay a little bit longer because it's in the budget, it's not a big deal. The only office I see that I say is extremely frugal, nobody will want to hear it, is the treasurer's office. That's the most frugal office in this building. And I would like to see the other offices try to fall into that same thing. Because no matter which way you add it up, if I put 25 township people in this office, in this building, in this room, and I tell them what this looks like, they'll say, no, you didn't budget 5,500, you budgeted 8,000. And people spend the budget. The government knows people spend the budget. And that's why they have people making budgets so that they don't take extra money out of their budget. And there's so many different little places, you know, in the budget where you can hide money so that if there's a little bit of a shortage here, it gets made up.
It's a budget. It's like the master plan.
It's a living, breathing organism.
It's a plan. I take what we used last year and added some to it, so we are trying to get it so each category is in its own budget. It's in its own line. So I think 5,500 is fine for the office help.
So then
we'll see how it turns out. We can always amend the budget in June if it looks like there won't be enough money in there, or there'll be too much. It's a budget. So, or July, or August, or halfway through the year.
So another question is the postage at 2,100, and I know we talked about this. I'm still on page 2. Midsection, Still under trustees board. If we only spent $480 in one year, $730 in another year, it was budgeted at $750. I would say 1,000 is going to be more than sufficient, even with a 2-cent increase per year.
No, I changed that because we, there was some postage that we looked at that got charged to, and I think it was the assessor's office, it was.
Oh, is that the one
That
that
we,
I looked at?
and it shouldn't have been charged there. So I put it in up here where it belonged.
So if you go to assessor, hers should have decreased, I think.
Her postage down here is $100.
No,
No,
her
no.
postage is,
1,400.
yeah.
But so how did she actually have an expense in 22,
See,
23?
That 31, the activity column, the 3178,
Yes.
$1,003 of that I don't think is hers. It's just the normal postage, that $1,003 that
Fee.
we pay
It was for our meter,
for
It's the
Quadient.
meter fee,
yeah,
And what's hers?
and it's supposed to be up here in the general.
right.
So we reduced her budget, because I think it was higher than that before, than 1,400, so we reduced that and moved it up to just regular
So it's
postage.
$1,003 to have the meter sitting here.
To fill the
No,
meter,
to
that's
add-
postage.
That's to add postage to the meter,
That's postage.
Okay,
so I don't know
but
how
we're
long.
paying for that meter to sit here.
112 quarterly.
Yeah,
Cool, thank you.
I'm not sure whose tongue we used to lick all the stamps though.
You don't have to lick stamps, there's soft stuff now.
And they have for other stamps, we've even talked about it, that the ballots don't always weigh the same. So you're either gonna put two 62-cent stamps on it, or you're gonna have to go get some pennies and nickels, and where here you just run it through the postage machine. So,
And that may change too, especially for elections,
it sounds like.
because the state is supposedly, they don't have it ready yet, because we had a clerk's meeting today. The state is supposed to be giving everybody a postage
Allowance.
stamp number, whatever, and the state is gonna start paying for the postage. So, some of this postage probably won't get used up, but we don't know when it's gonna fall
Yeah,
into
that
effect.
happens.
But they were hoping to have it done yet this year sometime. Or give everybody a postage permit.
So 1,003 from down there needs,
Nope, it's already moved.
Okay, so.
Well, it's not gonna get moved out of the activity.
No.
It's already in there, we're already at the end of the fiscal year. But I didn't want the budget to reflect that thinking,
Yeah.
oh, we need 3,000 for Joan, because we don't.
correct. No, I appreciate it. So now it could be marked, so then it's justified.
So even like the postage in that $1,000 postage for under elections, we may not even use that if they come through with that permit. So, but it's there just in case right now, because I don't know how long it's gonna take for them to come through with the permit.
Speaking of elections here, there's a new increase here under maintenance and repair for elections. What is that about?
Under what?
Under maintenance and repair, under elections. it's
Maintenance
4,000.
and repair, starting this year, the state has always paid for, the battery upkeep, any maintenance on it. We had a contract, I think it was a 5-year contract, it's up this year, so any maintenance or anything that needs to be done on the machine, we'll have to pay for. And they're saying probably this year sometime, the batteries are gonna have to be replaced. Because
Well timed.
yeah, right. Yeah. They're about a 3 or 5 year battery, and they're gonna have to be replaced. So we put it in there for that because they were supposed to be sending out a approximate list of what it's gonna cost, but we haven't got it.
Okay, so that's for like the tabulators. Yeah,
Right, that's for the tabulators,
Okay.
right.
Okay. Okay, now, just to clarify, because I know that we jump around a little on this page, it seems. So with the assessor, for extra office help, who is it that she uses for extra office help? Is it always the deputy treasurer, is that who you were mentioning?
No,
No.
it's just whoever she might find someone that lives next door to her,
Okay.
that's,
And
sitting
some-
there helping for an hour a week.
Sometimes Shirley does filing for her too,
Okay.
so we could use some of Shirley's out of that too, if we had to.
So how, I mean, she has only spent this year not even $150, and there's 2,000 in there. So how do we actually do that? I mean, do you pay that as a 1099 to somebody, or if they're an employee, you pay them and take out
She's,
FICA and Medicare? I mean, that seems
she's
really
really
unwieldy.
never used this. I'll bet you that $150 is probably Judy.
It probably was Judy, yeah.
That's just Judy.
And so then that's a payroll check for us for an existing employee, but it could be anybody, and then we would just pay them an AP check and give them a 1099 if it was over 500. I mean, is there a plan for that if she's completely in charge of that? Because
No,
if,
maybe I misspoke. I think on here it probably usually is Judy. I know she has hired other people for assistance. She pays them out of her own.
that's what I was curious about. So if that's the case, that's a really huge bump for extra office help to go up to $2,000 if she doesn't typically use it. So could we take a pretty big
Between that and
drop on
equipment,
that?
I think we can save $2,700.
I would
This
agree.
equipment sitting in this office is still ours. So
Granted.
when you talk about equipment, I mean, you gotta leave some in there for repairs or replacement. I mean, you never know when you're gonna get hit by lightning or.
Well, but that went to the insurance, right? And she's not physically here, except for the off time that she has an appointment with somebody. I
Yeah.
mean, I realize that she's
This
tapped
still-
in.
Yes, this still
But-
has to run for her to tap into it, so it's sitting in there running all the
So
time.
we'll put $500 there. We're still
And
paying.
what does $500 in equipment pay for? You can't even buy a decent screen for that. So I mean, what's $1,000? I mean, you guys are nitpicking
Well,
little dinky
there's
things
never
here.
been an expense there. $1,000 is a pretty big amount of money
You
if
know, you
there's
say
never
I'm
been a claim.
nitpicking, but
And
when I got done, I looked at over $40,000, $34,850 that could have been saved. And that's not a lot of money.
We're
I'll
not
be the
spending
first.
it though. This isn't saying we're spending it. It's sitting here if we need it in that category to fix her computer. Now, her computer was probably replaced when we replaced the computers in the office before I got here. So you're looking at probably a 5-6-year-old computer now, sitting in her office.
I got a 10-year-old one sitting in my office.
I know, but she's adding
And-
stuff and
and
doing stuff all
That
the time.
computer with what we have from Hayden, he just, if something's wrong with it, he can sign right in and do the repair.
Wow.
It doesn't mean it has to be replaced just because the thing might be slow. He goes in and he tunes it up and it's all done. He's paying, Melissa and I just talked about this. We pay for Microsoft for 7 computers, and we have this module that's on 11 computers that allows him to be able to fix things if they need it. Just, you don't have to throw money at everything just to fix stuff.
I would think that given the history, that 2,000 for extra office help is pretty steep. Just based on her spending, you could double what she spent the last 2 fiscal years.
That'd be $300.
Yeah, $300, that saves you $1,700 right there off her fairly high department. You know,
I don't care. We run out of money into it, then we'll figure out how we're gonna pay them.
Well, the problem is we don't run out of money.
Yes, we do. So, what do you want, her office help to be? 1,000?
Extra office help, I put down, I think $300 would work. If she was only at 147, there's no reason $300. She can double her office help within that.
$300.
she spent 147. The year before that, she spent 116.
Okay.
What, we gonna hire somebody to sit in her office and do nothing?
We may hire somebody to sit in her office, I don't know, but $300.
But then that's a whole different office then. The minute someone's sitting here, because some of the taxpayers think someone should be sitting here.
No,
Okay,
Only
how
one.
about if Shirley's gonna start charging some of her time to Joan, because she does a lot of filing for Joan. So I feel like that time should go to Joan. So we give Shirley 1 hour a month, 12 hours a year times 1550, $186. So why don't we make it $200? And it'll cover Shirley's 1 hour a month to file Joan's stuff.
So put $500 there, just in case.
Okay.
That works. See, it ain't a matter of not spending the money. It's a matter of knowing how we're going to spend the money.
page 3,
Are you done with all the departments with what you had written down?
anything on page 3?
I'm just looking to see. So we're leaving the deputies. I guess I'll just say it this way. Deputy supervisor and clerks are sacred cows. Those are not getting touched, is my understanding. Because I think they should get touched.
I would agree.
If we're still having money that can help to balance things, then, I mean, $15,000 from where in 21-22 we paid $65.60. The average taxpayer in this district would probably say if they can't do it for $65.60, then maybe that ain't the right person. But I do understand it's an intricate office.
And it's a pay raise. We raised their pay from like, what were they getting, $12 to $15.50 or
Oh, no,
something?
I get that.
So the difference between 21 and 22 is to keep them. And again, we didn't give them a pay raise this year, which in my opinion, they probably should have got a couple percent just to,
Well, somebody got a pay raise because the budget in 21-22 was $65.60, and this year was $12,295, and we say it's because of training. But
that's the activity,
Right.
not the budget.
The original budget was 10,000. The
We blew it
activity
away.
was 12,295.31 as of this printing, because obviously there's more that's gonna happen.
But this
Before the end of the year.
10,000 was there before we gave them their pay raise.
The 10,000 was
no,
there.
that was with the pay raise.
With the pay raise, because that's when the pay raise went into account, was
That's when it was
this
effective.
22-23 budget, right?
Yeah.
So the 10,000 was taking that into account.
Yeah. Because even now, $7,000 allows us 452 hours of employee. 452 hours of employee if they're working, we'll say, 9 hours a day. That's 50.2 weeks. We're not even open 52 weeks.
At 9 hours a day for 4 days a week?
The deputy clerk never worked 4 hours a week. Deputy
4 days a
clerk,
You're talking 9 hours a week.
9 hours a week, I said. Yeah.
We've been seeing payroll come through for the deputy clerk, on average about 72 to 74 hours a month, which works out to
It
about
was-
3 days a week.
Yeah, Sure,
Sherry's been in here
yeah.
probably 4 days a week.
So,
Or 3 maybe, I don't know.
And
The
how
morning
is
she
that
don't get
set
here
up?
till 9.
I mean, do you guys have a conversation about who's gonna work what days? Or is it just kinda come in when you want to and you feel like you have something to do? I'm just curious, because, you know, the board's function is to actually put a limit on how much is paid and on exactly what the job flow is for each of the deputies. That is the responsibility of the board as a whole. So if there's no parameters, if it's like, you know, well, just see you sometime next week, or see you every day next week, or just however it falls, I mean, are there any parameters on the schedule?
Nothing really definite. I mean, she does come in Mondays when I'm not here. Definitely, I told her she had to be in on Mondays when I'm not here.
So that's 7 hours.
Other than that, I mean, she usually comes in pretty much every day. It's not strictly 6-hour days. Sometimes she doesn't come in till 10, 11 o'clock, you know, and then goes home at 4.
So I guess where we're coming at it is, if you have a set number of hours that you are allotted for each week, it sounds like the system is just, you know, however that works out for you, with the exception of Monday, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're looking at, is having some allotment, rather than just turn
So
in
when
your hours
when
and
you're
then you
working
just
for
get paid for
somebody
that.
for hourly wage, do they set your hours that you can only work this or you have to work this?
Yes,
Not normally, not in the shop. When I worked in the shop,
Yeah.
no hours
Every-
was set.
Yeah.
Every company
No
I
hours
owned,
was
I
set,
told
believe
them
me.
from 9 to 5, and you were required to take a 1-hour lunch and 2 15-minute breaks.
Yeah, but if you worked over that, okay. But I mean, you didn't have a definite set hour. You can only work 40 hours this week. No, that's not how it worked in the shop.
but there is a
Yeah,
reason,
but
I
the
have
shop
to
is
work 40
Generous
hours a
Motors,
week.
and they're dropping 20,000 people right now.
I don't care what they're dropping right now. I haven't been there for 25 years.
I mean, I'm just going by
Okay,
what
but
people
whatever.
on
Okay.
average are doing. in
I'll
the-
tell her she can only work so many hours a week then, if that's what you want.
Well, that's what we're having a discussion about.
Whatever.
You know, there should be some type of a limit, because we're the ones that are paying the bill. The taxpayers are paying the bill for her to be here. So, you know, if it's a job
I'll
that
tell
should be
her she can
done.
only work so many hours, and if she wants more, she's gotta see you.
Okay,
You know,
that's kind of the whole conversation that we're trying to have. When you put numbers in here, there's not any limit on it.
Well, that's what it sounds like. You want to put a limit on
No.
how many hours she can work.
Well, what I'm saying is, if we look at it like how many hours we would expect somebody to work and budget accordingly, then that then puts parameters on it. If we just throw a big number in there, then we're just going to get a pay sheet once a month that has all of these hours on it, and there's no check and balance on that. So all of a sudden, we've got somebody working, you know, 3 or 4 days a week and turning this in. I mean, that's 20 hours a week, roughly, right? 18, 20 hours a week that are being billed for the deputy clerk. That's not exactly how that's supposed to work. Not for a township this size, and not for the
we're just a
agreement
little
that we
township.
had.
I'm reminded of that all the time.
4 days at 5 hours a day is 20 hours a week. So, I don't understand what the problem is. I mean, that's not, she don't work all day, every day, so I mean, even that.
So if 15,000 is too much, what do you want us to knock it down to?
I wrote down $7,000.
Well, it's gonna be more than 7, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you
Well,
can't.
here's the gig.
Here,
You
what
got
did?
$7,000 right here, and then if we have someone that's doing, she's not doing this, but she's doing office work, or she's over here and she's helping with elections, and it comes out of elections. So, you know, I learned that just because we say there's $10,000 here doesn't mean that person's making 10,000.
Exactly, but the way you're talking, you think that if there's 10,000 in there, she's gonna spend that 10,000.
Oh, they will, and then some.
Not necessarily.
Last year we spent $2,295 more.
Right.
But there was extenuating circumstances,
Right.
and that's understandable. But now, we're
9 months.
actually almost a year into this, and she's a part-time employee that's actually, I think